Hi, I'm Jacob Adams. I'm a fitness and leadership coach. I help people just like you get to the next level, whether it's in the gym, getting that next personal record, burning body fat, building muscle, getting on world-class nutrition supplements, and dialing in on nutrition, or here on YouTube. So my main focus has been developing perspectives and coaching mindsets that help us break through to that next level. Okay, well, have you ever taken a moment to look at what's going on in today's society with so much debate over abortion, unplanned pregnancy, etc., etc.? Well, I know that I've seen it myself, and I've dealt with the stresses of unplanned pregnancy or the stresses of potential pregnancy scares, etc., etc., etc. And the reason, first and foremost, that as a fitness and leadership coach I'm getting into this is that it's a topic that my clients and I discuss sometimes. It's a topic that affects our lives 100%. If you're a person, you have a sex drive, and if you have a sex drive, you are going to likely encounter the stress of how to have kids, when to have kids, etc., etc. Assuming that your partner and you are interested in kids, or heterosexuals that can, have that child together. Technically, even people that are in same-sex relationships may adopt, or however that goes about it. But for the sake of discussion, I'll be discussing how to prevent unplanned pregnancy in this video. I myself have gotten calls like, Jacob, I missed my period. And I think when that happens, everything just stops. There's a moment where just everything stops. It's hard to ignore that call, right? It's hard to think, well, that's a side note in my day here. Would you like fries with that? It's not one of those conversations. If you get a call that says, or a text says, I missed my period as a guy, the shit just got real. At least until you figure out, is this just a scare? Is this girl just trying to scare you and say something so that you listen to her, give her attention? Or is this really the real deal, where you better get your act together, decide whether it's plan B pill time, or is this where you have a talk? Should you have had the talk about what would happen in a situation like this? In my life, there was one time, there was about 2 times where I sincerely went the next day and got a plan B pill. And if the plan B pill does in fact work, the women that were my girlfriends at the time, they took it, and I guess it flushed their system or something like that. There was no abortion needed to be had, and again, it could have just been a scare, like I missed my period, or we had unprotected sex, etc., etc. I know that people sometimes think that just pulling out is a great strategy, but if that were a great strategy, we would not be having abortions at the scale of 300,000 abortions a year, as reported by Planned Parenthood. Now, let's take a moment and say, well, let's just say if it wasn't 300,000. Let's just say if it was a third of that. It has been reported that it's 300,000. But let's just say it was a third of that. Let's say it was 100,000. Is that a significant issue? Well, I'm making this video because clearly I think that's a significant issue. And I understand that I'm a guy, there's a backdrop behind me, and you don't have to listen to me. You could think I'm full of shit, and you could think that, fuck it, I'm gonna have an abortion whenever I want, or whatever it is. That's like a standard position, because if it wasn't, there wouldn't be 300,000 abortions a year. And I'm confessing, and I've confessed in other videos, in a video when I discussed abortion in the past, how I myself was a proponent of pro-choice for most of my adult life, most of my life, really. And in many ways, I now see that that was an indoctrination, a type of social engineering that was brought upon by the feminist movement, the feminist agenda, the feminine imperative. So that's my current position. So that we are clear on the frameworks by which I'm now countering and saying I'm no longer pro-choice, I'm now pro-life. And this has been a process and development of a change in opinion over 30 years. So this isn't a fly-by-night shift. And again, I have my own experiences where I have helped a friend pay for an abortion. I have, done Plan B pills, discussed abortion with I'm lucky to say, like, I have never had to have an abortion with a girlfriend in my life. Like, the furthest it's ever gotten is a Plan B pill or something like that, like the next day after sex. So I'm blessed enough to at least feel that. If you are somebody that has had an abortion or understands why I'm saying I'm lucky to have felt that, well, my heart goes out to you, and please, seek the healing that you need to process that inner pain. And, like I said, I'm being real. Like, I understand that we live in a society where being real and speaking just very candidly is sometimes too much. It's too much. But that's why this is a video, you're on a channel, and I can go there. Okay, in any case, moving into, so that's sort of my backstory as to how I've had the discussions, I've had the scares. And so today I just want to give you a solution into what would likely prevent, like I said, I've been lucky to prevent abortions in my relationships, okay, and unplanned pregnancies. The answer is really in the actual problem, okay? Unplanned pregnancy comes from the lack of planning. Like, it's kind of silly to say, but that is primarily what's occurring. There's absolutely no thought given to birth control, usually in that relationship. Birth control does work. That's how I've made it this far in life without a kid. Like, it works. Okay, and the fact that there's so many abortions in the world leads me to believe that there's people that are just carelessly having sex. So if there's people carelessly having sex and not planning pregnancy, now you know why I'm making this video. You see, like, I don't, it's not like a Saturday afternoon and I'm like, oh, let me just make a stupid video on abortions. Like, it's not. Like, I really look at my inner dialogue, what my work is, what I'm doing with my company, with my brand, and I think, like, what is it that I really feel needs to be said? And here you have this video. Okay, so in any case, I was pro-choice. Okay, now I'm pro-life. Now, I understand that some people may still get abortions, and Ohio recently is looking to pass a bill. Like, I'm not from Ohio, I'm in Texas. Is recently looking to pass a bill that says that a child has rights once the fetus, the unborn child, has a heartbeat. And I like that. I think that's a reasonable perspective. Like, okay, if the child has a heartbeat, the unborn child has a heartbeat, it has rights. Okay, that's pretty fair to me. Like, that's within 6 weeks. So let's just say somebody were to not have planned the pregnancy, and then they find out they're pregnant a week or two later, and then they are pregnant. Okay, like, you have time to, if you're gonna get that abortion, do it soon. Like, do not wait, because, like, now you're dealing with a living fetus, a living unborn child in your belly. And, like, that's the debate. People don't want to see it that way. As a yogi, for example, like, and I'm going deep with this so you can understand, like, if you follow the train of thought and my logics and my beliefs, let's say scientifically speaking, the child has a heartbeat. Okay, the child has a heartbeat, and that's why. Okay, the child has a heartbeat. There you go. Scientific, right? On a spiritual level, it's written. So I'm not there. Like, I can't prove this. Don't expect me to prove this. This is a belief. That's why I'm not basing my decision on my beliefs. I'm basing it on science. Like, I'm fine. Okay, heartbeat there. I'll meet there. It's a scholarly way to handle it, right? On a spiritual belief, it is believed that at the moment of conception, when the egg meets the sperm, that a soul enters, probably within 4 days, or I don't know what the timeline is, but within a certain amount of, very soon within a moment of conception, a soul enters the fertilized egg, or the process, okay? So on a belief level, I will confess to having that, okay? Like, I have no deeper, nothing else beyond what you're seeing. Like, that is it. It's like, okay, at the depths of it, there's a soul involved pretty soon. Again, I'll say that slowly. At the depths of it, I believe there's a soul involved in the fertilization process really soon into the pregnancy. It's not like 3 weeks later. It's a little sooner than that. But I can't prove that, so I'm not going to make my decisions and my callings on that. I do think that the Ohio law is meeting things pretty much in the middle, or the bill is looking to meet things pretty much in the middle. Or like, okay, just get it done before 6 weeks. Now, I made a video in the past about third trimester abortion, where it's like, okay, if you're in the third trimester and there's clearly a soul, that's where I will say there's clearly a soul, there's clearly a heartbeat, that child can live outside the womb without the mother. And then I'm going to go ahead and say, this is grounds for murder. There. And I think that's where it's controversial, see, for some people. And I'm not trying to be controversial, I'm just establishing the frameworks and perspectives so that we're clear as to where I'm making this video now. So if it's like, imagine if you thought there was murder occurring and you thought, okay, people are ignoring that, so wouldn't you say something? And if you didn't say something, then aren't you on some level, okaying it? So that took a little longer to get out, but I think if you listened to that whole spiel there, you're at least able to understand where this is coming from. The sincere place of like, okay, this guy probably really believes that it is murder. And at the same time, I believe society doesn't necessarily think it's murder. So I understand, because I came from that side where I didn't think abortion was murder. Okay, and I was willing to have one if need be at one point. I luckily never did, but that was a discussion I did have with my girlfriends at the time. Said, if this were to happen, we don't want one. I told them I would like you to have an abortion. Like I said, that's how I was raised. I was raised to think that was normal. I was raised to think pro-choice, and I thought it was as simple as a choice. Like, that was my, again, social engineering, this feminist type thinking that I was basically brainwashed into. You may not think so. You may not think that's brainwashed. I'm stating my positions, and this is what I think. Okay. So I was that stern because some people are going to have a counter to that in this world. Okay. In any case, at this stage now, I am saying I am pro-life. And I do know that some people are going to choose abortion, and I do think if you could do it within the first week to 3 weeks, like, I think I'm being very generous in that, like, compromise within myself. Say, okay, well, at least do it soon, like very soon. Don't wait. Like, don't wait. Don't be like, well, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, so that's where I'm going to get into. Like, I think that prior to 2019, let's say everything that's built up within the abortion world, the abortion business. I just saw a movie called Unplanned. And I think that prior to the new information coming out, we as a people have thought of abortion as something It just is like a service or a procedure or some kind of like thing. I think that we've distanced ourselves from the idea that it can be killing babies. Like, we've distanced ourselves. And then further still, I think we distance ourselves from the reality that this is a business that relies on murder, and it is being touted like some sort of benign institute with Planned Parenthood and stuff. And until we see it that this is a sincere issue that we can be disgusted with as a society, like, I'm disgusted with it. I mean, I'm making a video about this, right? So, you know, that's the biggest thing for me. The biggest inner victory for me has been reformulating my own value system and my own opinions, so that I can say something like, I believe that a soul enters early into the process of creating a child. Like, that's bold in a world where that's controversial. There's too much faith. There's too much belief in that, you see. And I'm okay with this. Like, in the sacred space of my own home and my own temple, I'm okay with that. And I would like a woman that respects her body enough to feel a certain level of like beauty to it, and not like the idea of someone shoving something up her body to abort a baby. Like, I think that is a woman, I think, should have an issue with that. I would have an issue with that. I'm a man. Like, say, like, have something being born in my belly. I'm gonna have someone vacuum a baby out, like crush a baby. But like, no, it doesn't. Like, something has to be looked at there where it's not. There's a disgusting element there that if we just like put a veneer of clinical terms on, just so that we feel better about it as a society, I think that that's an issue. And I'll give a shout out to one of my ex-girlfriends who told me, Jacob, I hope you never have a girlfriend that would kill one of your babies. And at the moment, at the time, I didn't get it. And I told you I was a proponent of abortion. So I was like, I was so mad at her. I was like, oh, I thought she wanted to like control me and like have a baby without my permission. And like, that was my view at that time, admittedly. So there's been a shift here. So that's been the biggest victory for me. And now we see that it is a business that runs for profit and is looking to create abortions for the sake of increasing the bottom line. And who knows what kind of social engineering and racial agendas are there, because they put these. Margaret Sanger was known as a racist woman on some levels and in some circles. And who knows the racist agenda, because they put these clinics in often where minorities live. So who really knows the agenda here? Like, it isn't so benign. That's what I'm saying. And I think we know that now as a society. And so to prevent abortion, you're going to have to get some Plan B pills. Get a Plan B pill or two if you're a woman or a man. Be ready to buy one. They're very affordable, like $40 to $50, versus having a child that you don't want. Condoms are about, $5 a pack. You can get. I recommend the Trojan brand because it's respectable. Get something that you think will work. Like, don't get the cheapest brand trying to save, a quarter. Like, don't try to save a quarter. Like this, you're trying to prevent a pregnancy. Okay, so spend a few cents more and get Trojan or a Plan B pill and talk with your person about what you would do. Like, what's your plan of action? Have a plan of action as to what you're going to do if you have an unwanted pregnancy. So if you do that, if you have sex with a condom, if you know your ovulation cycles and you're having sex on days where she's not ovulating, then you're kind of good, right? There's a condom present. You're speaking about, is this a monogamous relationship? Do you know? There has to be a level of transparency between two parties. And if that's not present, now you know why the problems. Let's say they're not transparent. She doesn't know when she's ovulating. You're maybe not using a condom. There's no plan B pill. There's no discussion of then naturally you're going to have an unwanted pregnancy. Quote, unwanted pregnancy. You never know that maybe this isn't unwanted and this was an agenda for maybe she might want to get the man or get the man's baby regardless of what he wants. So you see what I'm saying? This is the reality of sexual dynamics. This isn't fantasy. This isn't what people want it to be. This is real discussion. So in any case, the worst thing you could possibly do is to have no plan at all, no condoms, no plan B pills, no discussion, and have unprotected sex and think that pulling out is a thing and that's gonna save you. And having no idea when she's ovulating or you're ovulating, that would be the biggest issue. The quickest way to get an unwanted pregnancy. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Comment below. This is Jacob Adams signing off. We'll see you next time.